Hey guys, Nick Whittier here. Third day of me vlogging. It's Tuesday, October 12th. I don't remember what I said I was going to do on my original schedule. I'm going to do Triggered Tuesday, talk about something that kind of irked me in the last week or two of my life. It won't really be Melee related, but it will be tangentially related based on the fact that the people involved are people in the Melee community. So, okay, let me first start by saying I'm a big proponent of the philosophy say what you mean and mean what you say. And those are separate things. Think about them individually, and especially the say what you mean thing. Fucking yeah, don't beat around the bush. Fucking say what you mean. Anyway, so there's this guy Fiction. He's a SoCal Fox player. That's his tag. He used to be like a top player, 2 or 3 years ago. He had a post on social media I really liked last week. It said, I appreciate people who don't consider any topic off limits and don't like it when people think stuff is awkward. Life is short. No reason to be an agent of normalization when you're just talking to your friends. Lol. So yeah, I can definitely get behind that. Some people consider me, kind of rude, blunt. I would generally use words that are a little bit more positive connotation, like candid. But I can say sometimes I lack tact. That doesn't necessarily bother me. I think that's a description that most people could get behind. Anyway, so I was at a tournament at Pat's house 2 weekends ago. So Pat's house was a great tournament in SoCal, and at Pat's house, my friend Jeffrey, his tag is Destiny fan, told me they were filming an episode of the Bad Melee podcast. So the Bad Melee podcast is some guys in SoCal. They basically just have a few of them, and they shoot the shit and just talk about like funny stuff from their scene recently. So I had never seen the Bad Melee podcast until November. In October at Big House and at DreamHack Denver, I met this guy, Miles, whose tag was Donby. He's the Australian guy, a top player from Australia. And he seemed pretty cool. And I was kind of curious, once I got back from traveling, what his experiences were like going to DreamHack and Big House. So in November, I watched about an episode and a half. I watched most of the Big House and most of the DreamHack episode. So I hadn't seen this Bad Melee podcast before this because, I just seen the post on Reddit. Bad Melee podcast kind of sounds like some meme Reddit cancer to me. So, I hadn't tuned in. But once I met somebody from it, I was curious enough. And I was pleasantly surprised. The guy seemed a little bit cocky and full of themselves for my taste. But, my friends and I can be like that too. They seem cool enough. That doesn't bother me that much. I can definitely get over that, especially if they are actually, like amiable, like cool guys, which they seem to be ostensibly. So yeah, there were 3 guys on the shows I had watched before. There was Slime, who I don't think I've met. But I first heard of him because of doing content at the Summit, which I thought was really funny. And then there's this guy Dawson, who I had never met until the Power 9 before Pat's house. I met him there. Seemed like a nice enough guy. He seemed cordial. We didn't talk about anything too serious or interesting. He was the TO. And then there was Miles, who I said I met at those other 2 tournaments. So, yeah, I'd say overall, I actually liked their podcast quite a bit. I could really get behind some of the things, some of the sentiments they had, like building your significance in the community by being like a good player rather than like some other bullshit. Like sometimes I feel like Melee used to be like we're all Pokemon trainers trying to be the best, and then like at some point there started being like people who started talking about like wanting to become a great breeder or some shit, being like commentary or something, and like who just wanted notoriety in the scene. I really like that Slime didn't seem keen on selling out. Not to say like selling out is the worst thing in the world, sponsorships, whatever, are great. But like he didn't seem to be interested in using any newfound notoriety that he has as like a platform to sell merchandise or whatever. He seemed like pretty committed to actually doing stuff in the scene rather than just trying to gain notoriety. Like for instance, let's say Fendrick Lamar seemed to me pretty bent on becoming like on building his own notoriety by putting himself on commentary schedules and then just like working his way up the ladder. So yeah, I really appreciated that the guys in the Bad Melee podcast seemed to be pretty representative of grassroots Melee. They like, just shot the shit, told funny stories about the local scene. I know a lot of people from SoCal. It just seemed like a good time. And these actually seemed like people who are involved in the local community rather than just, some shitters from Reddit. Okay, so anyway, on to the episode that was at Pat's house. So yeah, my friend Jeffrey, Destiny fan, he told me that they're filming an episode, and on this episode, the three people were Slime, who I said I haven't met to my recollection. This guy Mix, who is a ranked Marth in SoCal, or at least he was ranked. I forget if he is right now. I met that guy for the first time in 2015, and I've played him several times since then. Just seemed like kind of a quiet Asian Marth player. I didn't really have anything to say about him. Seemed nice enough, but it turned out on the episode he was actually quite funny. So yeah, that was cool to know that he was a cool guy, even though I hadn't really experienced hanging out with him in that kind of environment. And then there was Chroma, or Jake. And Jake is one of my favorite dudes. I love that guy. He's just a really agreeable, great guy. I have almost nothing bad to say about Jake. Honestly, nothing comes to mind. So I guess I have nothing bad to say about Jake. He's a fucking fantastic human being, and I really love that guy. So Jake says he wants to tell a couple stories about me, and he tells this one about me at Big House 5. So I come into the room totally trashed, and then within like a minute or two of being in there, I go like, Chroma, what's it like being the most notable commentator who sucks ass at Melee? And then Slime's reaction to the story is like, oh my god, like, why would he say something like that? He's trying to start some shit. So, okay, this triggers me. The fact that someone's initial reaction to this story would be anything except, or like, to think that there's any reason that I would ask something except for wanting to know the answer really bothers me. I don't understand how that could not be your fucking first conclusion. So, again, think about that fiction tweet I mentioned earlier. I really appreciate that, like, most of my friends and I are just, like, on the same wavelength where we can fucking talk about anything we want to. Like, Dewan and I have talked about all kinds of taboo shit, and that can be some of the most interesting and memorable and insightful conversations. Like, okay, so this story took place, like, after the tournament. I could have come in and been like, how'd your tournament go? And then, hear the same fucking worn-out conversation about how you wish you had done better in bracket, and you got a shit seeding, and whatever fucking bullshit everybody says after every tournament. Like, I'm tired of that. I actually think that what I asked was a pretty interesting question. Like, just, okay, in 2015, Chroma was like a premier commentator. He was really on the mic a lot. And to be like the face and voice of our game in a lot of ways, and like to be the one talking to not knowledgeable crowds, spectators looking from the outside in to our community and trying to explain the game to them when you don't actually understand shit about the game seems pretty paradoxical to me. So, I really wanted to know how he felt about this, because if you listen to Chroma talk, he sounds really insightful. He actually sounds like he really knows his shit. And honestly, I think he was one of the commentators who has like the lowest level of misinformation. I feel like he was really on the ball about like what he was saying. But if you watch him play the game, he has no idea what the fuck he's doing. Everything he says does not fucking reflect in his gameplay, like, at all. Like his Fox looks completely fucking brain dead. And, he's not the kind of guy who has, like, a big ego about this shit. He knows that he isn't, like, a top player. And, despite being trashed, I remember his reaction very well. He's like, oh my god, Nick, it's so weird. Like, yeah, being on the mic, even though, like, he's not close to the level of play on the screen and trying to talk about it. So, anyway, the point is, like, guys, if you know me, if we're buddies, even if we're just, like, acquaintances, fucking come up to me and have some interesting conversations. Don't fucking, like, beat around the bush. Fucking don't wear out my ears with stupid platitudes. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. Like, as long as we know each other, if you come up to me and be like, dude, what's it known for, or what's it like being known for being a sweaty fuck, I'll have fucking something meaningful to say in response to that. I don't want to fucking, hear some boring ass conversation and just sit there because people want to be polite. Fucking say something memorable. Like, and not just with me. Even let's say you're on a first date and it's not going well for the first half hour or hour. I mean, not going well, not going badly either. Just kind of boring. You don't feel like you're clicking. You had the same fucking boring 20 questions that you have whenever you meet somebody. Fucking go for something risky. Fucking throw something in there and hope that, like, it clicks. Like, for instance, what if you're just like, I think Star Trek The Next Generation is one of the greatest shows ever made. Do you like it? And, there's a pretty decent chance that they'll be like, I haven't seen it. Or like, it's okay. Actually, no one really says it's okay. They usually say they haven't seen it, or they're like, I love that show. And then once they say they love that show, then you can be like, oh, so what are some of your favorite episodes? And then you're instantly, like, hitting it off. You're having a fucking great time. You're talking about something that you're both really into. You're a shared passion. And yeah, if it doesn't strike a chord with them, then you just talk about something else. Obviously, you want to be a little bit calculated. It doesn't have to be Star Trek. Take an educated guess based on, what you know about the person. What do you think she'd like? It could be a band too. I don't usually do that because, again, you want your taste to align with what the audience is like in that case. But anyway, the point of that, what I'm saying is, like, fucking don't be like a person who just fucking says things because they're safe to say. Fucking be memorable. Fucking be interesting. Like, yeah, I definitely do not need to. I'm not gonna fucking like want to be your friend per se. Not to say like I won't avoid you, but if like all we have is fucking the same interactions I've had 1,000 times in life, there's no real reason for me to seek that out in my life and like want more. Like, for building rapport with people, like, yeah, take some risks. Fucking be interesting. Don't feel like shit is off limits. Like, yeah. Okay. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my little rant. This is just my first like ranty episode. I'll be back tomorrow with what I think I'm going to do is called Workshop Wednesday. I'm actually going to talk about some like real Melee stuff, talking about labbing out techniques, maybe talk about the hackback, and maybe even some like really specific techniques. So anyway, until then, feel free to tweet at me at NMW on Twitter, whatever social media you want. Got lots of platforms. I think I will make a slide this weekend so I don't have to plug things in the future. Okay, peace out, guys.